Hey guys, it's Kevin again. I have a 1978 Shovelhead Harley, and so after purchasing, you know how you find these little things that you didn't notice, when you were looking at it. But anyway, so I discovered on the gearbox, transmission gearbox, that there was a broken stud, and then there was a missing stud that just had a replacement bolt. So I decided to just drill out the stud that was broken and go ahead and take out all the studs and replace those with these chrome Allen head bolts. And just so everyone will know, and these are a little bit long, so I've got to cut about 5 threads off of them, but they're 5/16 by 18 on the thread pitch. Now the studs that come out are 5/16 by 18 by 24, and it's the 18 that go into the block and the 24 that the acorn nuts screwed onto. So just so everyone will know, on most of your Shovelhead models, that's going to be the double-ended stud sizes that that you're going to run across. And so I went ahead and I just think these look a lot better. They're chrome. And this gearbox filler plug right here was really galled up. So I picked up another one of those on Colony Bike Parts, J&P Cycles, and it just looks a whole lot nicer. It's nice and clean. And I think whenever I go to take this out to put new gear oil in, which will be very rarely, see how nice, new, and clean those edges are in comparison to. See if I can find the one I took out. Yeah, right here. Comparison to that, it looks a whole lot better. So, guys will take a file, screwdriver or a big huge flat tip screwdriver, and unscrew those, and just they're aluminum and they're pretty soft, and this just looks a whole lot better. So for just about, I think it was maybe $9-10, I went and picked one of those up. It's much better. So as I go along, I find things that are not necessarily wrong with it, but just things that I want to correct and make it look a lot nicer. So I've got all my fluids drained out of this motor, and I'll add gear oil to this, and I'm going to take what little oil is left in the crankcase down here and remove it. And what I'll do is I'll put my kickstart back on here, and then I'll just pump it. I'll just crank it through and get the oil pump, which is right here. Get the oil pump, pumping that oil out. I've got some motor flush in here in the oil tank, and that'll help flush that old oil out of the crank. And then I'll chase that out, with a couple of quarts of oil and get all that good and cleaned out. Anyway, and I also found that this kickstart lever was pretty loose. Now I know I've got it unbolted, but even with it tightened up, it's pretty darn loose. And I don't like that either, so I'm going to use some feeler gauges, and I'm going to shim these up. So I'll break these off, and I'll shim a couple of these sides up, with feeler gauge, and then tighten that up, and that'll make that nice and snug. I also had the old bicycle type, here it is right here. I had the old bicycle type kickstart pedal, and it's alright, but it's galled up, and it just didn't look very good. And for a very small amount of money, which was about, I think, $14, I went ahead and got a traditional kickstart popsicle pedal. So That'll look a whole lot nicer. And I'll install that right here. And once that's on, that'll look a lot nicer. Let's see. So as I progress through this, I've already rebuilt my shorty carburetor inside and out with a master kit. That was about 70 bucks. So I went ahead and rebuilt it and reinstalled the carburetor. The other one, or this actual one, was not getting fuel to the bowl. So you know, when the guy started it for me, it ran just fine until it ran out of fuel out of the bowl, and it didn't refill. But you know, I should have questioned it, and I didn't. But it's all right, because you know, you find those things out, and then you go about fixing them the right way. So I just put a total rebuild kit in it myself and reinstalled the cables and everything. So that bowl's going to fill up with fresh fuel, and I'm having my gas tank painted right now, so my tank's not on there. I'm having my seat recovered, which goes right here, spring seat. Having it recovered, so that's not on there. And I also put on a new throttle cable assembly. So I put on a new assembly here, and this handle has a bearing in the back, so I installed a bearing down through the handle, and then the bearing spindle is tapped into the, well, not tapped into, but with a mallet forced into the end of that handle. It looks like this. It comes with two different sizes, and so there's a screw in there, and then when you press this into the end of the handle and you turn the bolt, then it expands this rubber. So there's a little smooth spindle that fits inside the bearing that you put into the end of the handle. So anyway, took care of that, and that makes it really nice and smooth. It was still a little sticky, okay, and a little rough. So I packed everything with Vaseline, and I packed this assembly with Vaseline. Packed this end of the handle with Vaseline, so it's just really nice and smooth. It's not sticky. The other one was actually just a real cheap cable housing, and when you clamped it down, it literally met on both ends, and then it did not. It spun on the handle. I thought, man, how did the guy write it like that? But so anyway, it's nice and firm, and these are knurled rubber grips. This is all out of an aluminum billet, one piece from here to here. One piece of aluminum billet, and then these rubber grips are pressed on, so made it really nice. The only bad part about it was, you know, these are two different size threaded holes on here for your cables, and the other style that I had on here, the ends were swapped, so that made it a little bit difficult. So I ended up having to, what that makes you do is have to, when I put my assembly on, when you're rolling back to accelerate, it stops. So you actually rolled forward, and that was your acceleration. So what I had to do was just go ahead and leave it like this, and then change the cable configuration on my carburetor throttle cam. Okay, so this one was back here, and this one has actually, this one is spring loaded, so there's a spring up in here where it was on the other side. So I take the spring off and put it on here and run it through my cable holder. So this mechanism, you know, opens and closes your throttle plate. And so I took care of that, and that seems to work real well. So a couple other things. I'm going to modify this rear brake pedal configuration. It is not good at all. if your foot is here, you've got to lift your knee and your leg and foot up to press the rear brake. And that's just not going to fly with me. So I've got to come up, I don't know how the guy wrote it like that, but he did. So I'm going to end up either modifying this, refabricate it, cut it here, bring it up under here, or somehow get a longer one that will come out to here. But regardless, this foot pedal press right here has got to be somewhere out here, so that when my heel is here, then all I have to do is just, you know, bring my foot out and then press the pedal. But this right here is just not going to work for me. So it's going to be an interesting process, but I'll get it done, and I'll try to keep you posted on how that's going. Anyway, I'll update on the next modification I make. Okay, thanks, bye.